Hello, fellow risk takers, and welcome to my worst investment ever. Stories of loss to keep you winning. In our community, we know that to win in investing, you must take risk, but to win big, you've got to reduce it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on a mission to help 1 million people reduce risk in their lives. And that mission has led me to create the Become a Better Investor community. In the community, you get access to our global asset allocation strategies and stock portfolios and our investment research, weekly live sessions, and the risk reduction lessons I've learned from more than 500 guests. Just go to myworstinvestmentever.com right now to learn more. Fellow risk takers, this is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stotz from A Stotz Academy, and I'm here with featured guests, Mihir Koltharkar. How are you? Are you ready to join the mission?
Yes, I am.
I botched up your last name. Can you say it properly?
Sure. Koltharkar.
Koltharkar.
That's correct.
There we go. I'm working on it. So tell me, I want to introduce you to the audience, and I want to learn from you. There's some things that I think are interesting about what you're doing, particularly as a finance guy. I'm not good at sales and understanding that type of stuff. So I'm interested to learn a bit more about you. But before we get into that little brief discussion, I want to just introduce you to the audience. So Mihir is a highly accomplished and global award-winning trainer, TEDx and Keynote speaker, and an author with a rich experience spanning 22 years. He delivers sessions in his unique and engaging way and has a proven track record of enhancing performance and growing revenues spanning sectors and industries. In the past 2 decades, he has conducted more than 2,000 live sessions in 12 countries and inspired hundreds of thousands of people. Mihir's life purpose is to add value to people's lives, and he is featured among the top 20 global trainers in sales in 2021 and was recently awarded Master Trainer Pride of India Negotiation Skills. People and media call him Smiling Buddha of Sales and Mr. Sales for his wisdom and knowledge in the domain. My goodness, why don't you take a minute, Mihir, and tell us about the unique value that you bring to this wonderful world?
So, thank you very much for that introduction, Andrew. What I feel is that when I was in school and when I was in college, I never used to attend these lectures. And the reason for that was the professors, they had immense knowledge, but they were not able to share that knowledge and make us understand the value of that knowledge or make us feel excited about learning new things. And that somehow became a trigger point for me. And I said, I need to do something about it. Physics, chemistry, math, all the subjects, history, geography, whichever subjects that you look into, whatever we have learned in school, whatever we have learned in college, most of us do not use it in the practical life currently. And that got me thinking, what are the things which people should actually know? And if you look at it, sales and negotiation, that is something that we should be aware of right at the early stage of our career, because sales is not just about business. Sales is not just about making money. Sales is about convincing. Sales is about influencing. It is how you put forward your point across. And that requires these skills. So selling and negotiation, I believe, is something which everyone should be aware of. If you go for interviews, you are selling. If you, even while proposing someone, you are still selling your personality. So it is not just a skill which is for business, but it is also a skill for your personal life. And that's what I have been doing. I add value to people's lives, and I share with them the kind of fundamentals which are there for sales, and which are the advanced methods which people can use, which are tried, tested, and proven. If they are into business, how can they just implement that particular model and increase their sales?
And out of all of your knowledge on this topic and all the discussions that you've had and the teaching you've done, what would be I don't know, 1 or 2 little tidbits that could help our audience? Let's think about people like myself. We're good. We're technically good. Maybe an engineer, could be a financial guy, man or woman, but sales isn't our strong suit. what would be one or two things that you could help us to improve ourselves in that area?
Sure. So there is a golden rule of sales, and the golden rule is 30-70. So whenever you are putting across your point, whenever you would want to convince someone of something, you should be speaking only 30% of the time. 70% of the time, the other person should be speaking. Now, this is something which is very unorthodox. Today, if you go to in a store maybe and to buy maybe a TV, you go in over there and you say that, okay, I'm looking out for a TV. What would the person say? The salesperson would go ahead and say that, okay, this is the TV, blah, 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 blah. And then this is the TV, and this has got this feature, blah, 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 blah. Who talks more? It's the salesperson. And what should ideally happen is that the salesperson should be asking a lot of questions. And those questions should be appropriately positioned to gain insights and answers as to what exactly am I looking out for. When the other person would do that, I would feel saying, okay, this person is really interested in knowing about what my likes, what my dislikes are. And this person will then help me to make a right decision. So that's a consultative approach. And most salespeople lack this. They think that, okay, this is the knowledge I have gained. I have gone through a product training. I've gone through a process training. I know about all the features. So I'm going to go ahead and share everything that I know. Okay. And I think that's where people fail.
That's interesting because recently, I've read all kinds of sales books and marketing books, and I have one of my products is a course called the Valuation Masterclass Boot Camp. Now, the boot camp is tough, very, very tough. In fact, it's so tough that for the listeners out there, they don't see that I'm wearing a drill instructor's hat because in the boot camp, it's tough. But one of the things that I realized early on is that I wanted to tell the students where I could take them. So I had a visual of a mountaintop, and I was voted a #1 analyst, and I started at 0. So I explained, like, this is my journey, and I went up this mountain, and I got to here, and I've designed the Valuation Masterclass to help you get there faster. And I think, that was step #1, is that I needed to kind of explain what you're going to get from this. But what I realized recently is there's something missing. And what's missing is I visualize like a mountain that's surrounded by lots of different topography. So people at the bottom of the mountain want to get to the top. But some of them are down in a valley really, really low, and they see a huge challenge.
Right.
There's other people that are on another part of the mountain or a side of the mountain where they're up pretty close, so they're not too far. There's another people that there's a river they got to cross before they reach the mountain. And what I realized is that, I wasn't connecting with people where they were. And so therefore, if their story didn't match my story, like I had a good education and I had a good upbringing or whatever that was, and, and I love studying and I love reading, and so if their story isn't that, then it's hard for them to visualize how I'm going to help them get up to the top of the mountain. So I've spent some time recently identifying, let's say, 4 types of people, like a recent student, a recent grad from university, a financial professional who's struggling to really make an impact, and an engineer or an accountant that wants to switch from their current industry to start to work in finance, these types of things. And now I've realized I have to listen to what my prior students in that group, where I may have 10 students that are in that group, listen to what they're saying, what were their fears, what were their challenges, and then I need to not tell my story, but tell their story of, let me tell you about a few people who were in your same situation. They're an engineer and they want to become a financial person. Well, let me introduce you to so-and-so who felt the exact same way. They took the course and now they work in finance.
True. So true. Because they also say that, there is one radio channel that everyone listens to. And that radio channel is WIIFM. So it's YFM. That is what's in it for me. And every single person is tuned into that channel. So people do not care how much you know, what do you know, but they care when you talk to them about themselves. And when you do that, they automatically tune into that channel and they are much more receptive towards listening to what you have to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WIIFM, our station specifically for you. The station you never leave. You're always here because what you care about is what is in it for me. Love it. Great. Great stuff. Okay, well, I like that. So we've learned the 30-70, that we should be talking 30% and letting the client or the potential customer talk 70. And then you also talked about consultative, where you're asking questions. And I think that's also the thing. And then finally, what you've told us is that people care about what's in it for me. They don't care about your knowledge. They don't care about they care about what am I going to gain from this. So I think those are some great tidbits and nuggets. And now it's time to share your worst investment ever. And since no one goes into their worst investment thinking it will be, tell us a bit about the circumstances leading up to it, then tell us your story.
Absolutely. I will tell you, Andrew, first of all, this has been when this particular question came in, it's very difficult to go ahead and answer that question right away. The reason being is that I have made so many mistakes in my life. It was very hard to single out which one should I go for.
I know the feeling.
Okay. So this is one particular story which I would share. Very interesting story. Now, I have been in training domain for a very long time, 22 years. But I used to head training departments of organizations earlier. I used to train the employees in the organization and grow their sales. It was 6 years ago. I decided to start off on my own. So I was working for a company which was a luxury real estate company headquartered in Dubai, and they had more than 800 sales professionals. I was with them for 1 year, and I managed to increase their turnover by 4.5 billion dirhams in just 1 year. When that happened I said, this is it. My knowledge should not be restricted just to one organization. It belongs to the world. And that's when I took the risk and I said, okay, let me start on my own. So from Dubai, I used to stay in Dubai for almost about 7 years. From Dubai, I came down to India and I said, let me register the company over here. I registered the company, and that time I was full of hope. I was saying that, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 months to set up the organization, to start, doing the groundwork and everything. And in probably 6 months' time, I would have gained some X number of clients at least to fund my organization. So I started from zero without any investment. I did my websites, I did social media, I did outlines, I used to go for client meetings, I used to do marketing, I used to do every single thing. One-man show. Now, slowly and gradually, things started kind of moving. And I was saying that, okay, at least some kind of business is coming in. And when the business started coming in, I invested all the money back into the business for marketing purposes. I got hold of a partner in Mauritius. So there was this guy who I know of. I knew him since 2001. And this guy said, Mihir, you are doing some great work. We would love to have you in Mauritius. And I'm sure that organizations in Mauritius would be greatly benefited by what you have to offer. And I said, fantastic, that's a great opportunity. So I said, let me go to Mauritius. We arranged for some training sessions. The training sessions went on very well. And he said, Mihir, I have a potential client. This client is a huge client. It's a government company. So you come down over there, you meet them. So I went over there, met, and they had amazing requirements. So they said, Mihir, we want this, we want this, we want this, we want this. And I was like, wow. I kind of mentally calculated the profits. It would have been in millions. And that is in a span of maybe about 45 days.
Right.
I was like, wow, I am on track. Okay. So just started off a company is just heading somewhere. I'm barely managing my expenses and all of that. And then suddenly this big, huge opportunity, that too in Mauritius. So my mind started going crazy. I was thinking that, okay, Mauritius, I have been there once. It's a beautiful place. I would love to settle over there. Okay. And then I'm now getting a contract from a government company, and that is, I'm going to make profits in millions right now. So now, my way of thinking changed. I used to dream about it all the time. Once that meeting happened I gave them a proposal. After the proposal, they said, Mihir, come down, let's meet again. I went again, met them. Okay. Then they said, okay, everything sounds great right now. Some modifications to the proposal. I did that as well. And they said, Mihir, we are looking out for the session to start another 2 months' time. So I said, great. Everything sounds great. I said, final part, let's go ahead with the negotiations. Okay. We went ahead with the negotiations as well. I had obviously kept my margins over there.
Yep.
And I knew that there would be some negotiations because it was a huge contract. So I said, okay, negotiations also done. They were okay with the negotiated price as well. And I was super happy.
Yep.
So I'm already building castles in my head. Okay. My partner was super excited too. So my partner was working for an organization and he said, Mihir, I see a great potential over here. I'm also going to quit and we are going to go full time into it. Okay. And I said, sure, I think we should look at that because there is great potential. I see that this kind of interest which is coming in. So I said, Mihir, I think we should start looking at setting up an office building over here. We should have a training room and everything. I said, okay, should we take it slow? I said, no, right now the contract is almost on the verge of finalizing. So let's go ahead and do that. We started looking out for properties. We said we want to hire or we want to lease one entire building, not an office, a building. Okay.
Think big.
Think big, right? And he said, Mihir, I'm getting a great deal. If we sign a lease for 2 years, we are going to get a great deal. I said, great, let's do that. Yeah. And then he said, Mihir, we do not have any furniture because it's going to be an unfurnished place. So let's start looking out for furniture. And we started looking out for furniture from China. We placed an order over there. Okay. And now things are kind of, they're moving forward. We are super excited, super positive. Things are like looking great. And then suddenly the company declares bankruptcy. A government company declares bankruptcy. The politics, so the company was such that it was a loss-making company. It was not a profit-making company, but the government was funding that company for a long time. But because of some change in political scenario, the government said that we are not going to invest anything in this organization now. And guess what happened? Obviously, the contract just froze, finished, gone.
Just a piece of paper.
Yes, absolutely. It's just gone, finish. And we had no clue what to do. The thing which happened during that particular point of time is that when we got to know that this contract is of such huge amount, the kind of efforts that I was putting in for marketing, those efforts had also kind of stopped. Because I said, now we are going to get that money. And once that money comes in, we will invest this part into the marketing. We will hire an agency. Let the agency do all that stuff. We are not going to get into all of the nitty-gritties. And our dreams crashed. The business idea crashed. Everything just crashed. I was super, I wouldn't use the word demotivated because I was still hoping that probably the political scenario will change and the contract will come back again.
You were praying. You became more religious.
Yeah.
And what happened to the building and the furniture from China?
So building part of it, fortunately, we were able to close that particular lease, and we did not have to pay a lot over there. Considering the furniture part of it, we sold that furniture. But those were the dreams. I think that was one of the worst investments ever.
And what was the time period that all this happened?
About 8 months.
Okay.
Right from the beginning till the end. About 8 months.
And when was the worst day, the worst time? Was it how did you find out that the company was bankrupt? Or when was the worst time that you realized okay, this is a serious problem now?
So uh, that particular point of time, I was back in India. So after finishing the meetings and everything, I was back in India. And my partner, he's a local Mauritian.
Hmm.
Over there in Mauritius, such kind of news. So this is a government company going bankrupt. So such kind of news is announced on the radio, and it keeps on playing over there. And then people have their opinions about it, and other politicians will jump in and they will talk about it. So it was a big deal. It was a very big deal. And it was going on the radio and TV for almost about like 3 or 4 days. Okay. So this partner of mine, he called me and said, Mir, guess what happened? I said, what happened? I thought that we won the contract and we are going ahead with it. Like the dates are finalized. I said, the company went bankrupt. I said, come on, you're joking. Like, no, this is serious. And I had no answer to it. I had no answer. It took time for things to sink in
Right.
and realize that, oh, this has happened.
So how would
It was
you,
devastating.
yeah, how would you summarize the lessons that you learned from this experience?
Ah, I would feel that don't count your chickens before they are hatched.
Yes, that's got to be the biggest lesson. Or I guess the other one we say is a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, even today, so I've learned that lesson, and that I think it was a huge learning for me. Even today, whenever I get any kind of requirements from an organization or any kind of contracts or any of that sort, I always think through saying that till the time the money does not hit the account, till that time, it is still not closed.
Mm, that's a good lesson for everybody
Yeah.
until the money's in the account.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So even if they sign the contract, or even if they give a verbal approval, or even if the approval is on mail, an email saying that, okay, this is finalized and everything, till the time the money is not in the account, it is not a close.
What a lesson. And I think that's a lesson for everyone. Maybe I'll share some of my takeaways from this story. Um, the I'm reminded of the book The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, who's now 84 years old and has written, such a great book. And he talks about the entrepreneurial seizure when it's uncontrollable. When you get so excited about your idea, you'll do anything because it's all going to be amazing. And so the challenge is to, how do you deal with that? When you're in that seizure, people don't listen. And I think for all of us, a big lesson is that to know when a business idea sweeps into your mind, it can take you over. And you don't listen to people, and you think you know what's right, and you think you know what customers want, but the reality is that it's brutally hard out there. And it's just hard. So many things can fail. So be careful not to get in the entrepreneurial seizure. But I think another lesson I want to share is a story of mine. And this is to tell the audience and yourself, it's not even when the money's in the bank. When I was a young guy, I was about 17, turning 18, I bought a motorcycle off of another guy. And his name was Tim Hutchison, and we both grew up in a town called Hudson, Ohio. And he had a motorcycle, and I finally had saved up enough cash that I could buy it. And so it was a lot of money for me. I don't know, probably $400 or $600 or whatever. And basically, I didn't trust him, and I didn't know who to trust. So I just said, look, he said, my mom's going to write a check. And I said, good, let's go down to the bank. We'll cash that check. Once the check's cashed, then the cash will go into my account, and then I'll sign the title, and then you can take the motorcycle. Great, done. Went to the bank. Everything was fine. The check came. He brought it with him. He said, ready? Bank said, this check is good. They deposited the cash into my bank account. I signed over the bike. He left. He left with the title. He gave me the title, and I had the motorcycle. And basically, I'm getting it confused. I was selling my motorcycle, so he was giving me cash. Okay, so then I signed over the title to him, as I originally said, and then he left with the motorcycle. Done. The next day, I got a phone call from the bank,
Mhm.
and they said, you know that $700 that we deposited in your account? You need to come back today, and you need to give it, because I took it out of the bank, pretty quickly. They said you need to bring that back and give it to us. I was like, what? How? Wait, everything was cashed. They said, nope, his mother put a stop on that check, and she has 3 days to get her cash back.
Wow.
So I went down to the bank with the $700 and I gave the money back to them. And then I went to him and said, hey, give me the bike back. And he said, no,
Oh,
you've already signed it over to me. It's mine now. And I had to take him to court. And eventually I won. And then, but getting the motorcycle or getting anything from him was, it's one thing to have a judgment. But I just learned a lesson that, really you got to focus on the cash. And it sometimes can take a couple of days that you got to wait with that cash in there to make sure that the deal's done. So that's my little crazy story about it's not even always safe when the cash is in the bank. So,
true.
um, so let me ask you, based upon what you learned from this story, and I want you to think about listeners out there that do have their great business idea, and your business idea wasn't bad. I don't think it was a bad idea, but you
Mhm.
got caught up in a very shiny headlight,
True.
like it was, and so think about the people that are out there in that position. What, what one action would you recommend that they take to avoid suffering the same fate?
Mhm. So I think when we start off a business, we always think saying that it is going to be successful. And yes, it can be successful, provided you have a plan. You should not be just relying on hopes. There has to be a structured plan. And you say that, okay, let me take one step at a time. Something great comes up in between, which is unexpected. Great, it's wonderful. Always have that room for miracles to happen. And miracles do happen.
Mm.
But when they do happen, don't deviate from your plan. So if miracles are happening, accept it. If it happens, well and good. But when that is happening, don't deviate from what you were doing, because
Mm.
those were the pillars which have got you till that miracle. If you stop doing that, the miracles also are not going to happen. So keep doing your work. If the miracles are happening, hope for the best of it. Be optimistic about it, but at the same time, be realistic also about it. Instead
Mm.
of getting just caught in that moment and saying that, okay, you know what, my life is now changed. Like I have won a big lottery and this is it, finish. I don't have to work anymore. You
Drop all
don't.
that.
So
Yeah.
continue doing your work. Uh, if you work for money, I think it's a big loss to your talent. If you work to share knowledge, to inspire others, to do something good for the world, and your business model revolves around it to add more value to other people, I think that is a great successful model. Even if you do not make like a lot of money, or if even if these miracles do not happen, you can sleep very peacefully. You can sleep very content, saying that today I did my best to to fulfill my life purpose, and I'm happy about it.
Mm. Well, I think if we all feel that every day, we'd have an amazing life. So that's a real challenge, I think, for everybody listening to try to figure out how you are living your best life every day,
So
and that you can go to bed and sleep well. So, what is a resource that you'd recommend for our listeners?
So one thing which I would recommend for our listeners is invest a lot of time in learning about communication. This is one of the most underrated skill. Uh, we have not been taught how to communicate. We know how to speak, but we don't know how to communicate well. And if you are able to communicate well, all your problems in the life, they can be solved very easily. Whether it's business, whether it's personal, it is all about communication. And some of the resources, so Alan Pease is one of the author I would highly recommend, because he has got several books.
Mm.
He talks so much about how there has been a DNA based learning. Like today, uh, why people smile, and there is a reason for that. People don't know why people smile, and they say that, okay, smile is positive, but why smile is positive, that answer is probably not known. And those kind of answers you would get in that particular book. And if you know the science behind it, then I believe that communication is much more easier. The rapport building is much faster, and people feel connected. So that's one resource which I would definitely share. It has been a life-changing resource for me as well. Uh, uh, so yeah,
It's a great one. Yeah, it wasn't his book was about body language. I can't remember what was
yes,
some of the. Yep, Alan Pease.
yes. So Alan Pease and Barbara Pease. Barbara Pease is his wife.
Yeah,
I must have a book over here as well.
and I'm looking at his website right now. I'm seeing why men don't listen and women can't read
Oh, there you go.
maps.
This is another one. Why men lie and women cry.
That's a good one. Well, that's great. Great idea. So, last question. What is your number one goal for the next 12 months?
So in the next 12 months, I have currently trained in 12 countries. And my goal for the next year is to make that number till 15. That's a very realistic goal. In 1 year's time, getting into 3 new countries, easily doable. Even if there are challenges that would come in, I think I would be able to hit that. So, yep, that's my goal, getting into new
Beautiful.
countries.
Beautiful. Well, listeners, there you have it. Another story of loss to keep you winning. If you haven't yet joined the Become a Better Investor community, just go to myworstinvestmentever.com to learn more. As we conclude, Mihir, I want to thank you again for joining our mission. And on behalf of A. Stotz Academy, I hereby award you alumni status for turning your worst investment ever into your best teaching moment. Do you have any parting words for the audience?
So plan your work and work your plan. Most people plan a lot, but they don't put in efforts to work on that particular plan. If there are challenges that may happen, those challenges should also be a part of your plan, and there has to be a way out. There has to be a plan B to it. So always keep that in mind, whether it's business, whether it's your personal life.
And here's a book
Oh wow.
that I wrote called Plan Your Work and Work Your Plan.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
this is my calendar book that I created for myself based upon reading every book I could about time management and management. And I call it Plan Your Work, Work Your Plan.
That's
There's
awesome.
probably no way you could have known that because I don't sell much of it. I just use it in my business and in my life. But yes, I totally agree with that advice. And that's a wrap on another great story to help us create, grow, and protect our wealth. Fellow risk takers, let's celebrate that today we added one more person to our mission to help 1 million people reduce risk in their lives. This is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stotz, saying, I'll see you on the upside.